beware. Once you know what they don't want you to know, there is no turning back. And now, the world's most life-changing radio talk show, The Truth Shall Set You Free. Meet the commissary of the King of Kings, your brother-in-law in liberty, Joseph Gene Zabrowski.
Thank you. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespasses against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
My, oh my, was that not amazing? Honest to God, every time I hear that clip of Melania Trump praying, I cannot help but to raise my hands to God in thankfulness for what He has done, okay? To see such quality people in the office of president, and to see them giving honor and glory to God is everything my heart has worked for and desires. You know, it's just truly so fulfilling to know the spiritual presence that we have in the office of president. And you know, it's the antithesis of what was in there 1 month ago. How things can change so very quickly. How they can turn on a dime with the help of God. Literally, from demons to Deo, which means God. The oligarchs who have controlled America for decades believe that Lucifer is God. And that is why Americans have had such a dark go of it for so many years now. In other words, the oligarchs honestly believe that we have had God in the office of president. It's just that their God is the opposite of the real God, or the God that 80% of Americans know to be God. That's right. They believe that Satan is God. They actually call him Lucifer because they believe that he never fell from God's grace. You see, when Lucifer, the most beautiful angel God created, when he thought that he was so beautiful that he should be God, he fell from God's grace. Thus, he was thrown down from heaven and became known as Satan, the one who would wreak havoc on the world. That's how the story goes, okay? Now, the globalist oligarchs believe that never happened. Okay, contrary to the Word of God, they believe that never happened. They believe that Lucifer is God, that he never fell from God's grace. As a result, they call him, some of the different names that they have for him is the morning sun, the morning star, or the enlightened one. And that is some of the insight as to why these globalists are so bent on evil and destruction of humankind. Because what you believe in determines your actions. You know, Satan is death and God is life. When you believe in death, you further the cause of death because you are devoted to it. And when you believe in life, you further the cause of life because you're devoted to it. God's word says that Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's exactly what the oligarch globalists' mantra is, to kill. They kill through the wars that they create. They usually fund both sides. They steal through their banking establishment. Many of them are international bankers, thus they steal through their banking system. And they destroy lives day after day through all of the control that they have in our country and the world. They are the ones who have control of our politicians. They get bills passed, and those bills usually make things more difficult for middle America. And as a result, businesses close, small businesses close, lives are destroyed. People don't have incomes any longer because of these people, because of the laws that they create. You see, they're able to be in that position because they do what is called lobbying. Lobbying used to be illegal in America when America formed, according to the original 13th Amendment, which was the Titles of Nobility Amendment, which was miraculously and mysteriously just taken out of our Constitution in 1865 during the war. You know, as we were up to our eyes in war, they just took it out of the Constitution. All right? And they replaced it with a new 13th Amendment. And that Titles of Nobility Amendment was an we can do an entire show on that someday, but it was an amazingly important amendment in our Constitution, because what it basically said in a nutshell was that our government servants could not receive gifts from any foreign entity. If they did, they could no longer hold their position in office. It also said that lawyers could not be politicians. You could not be an attorney and be a politician. Now it's the exact opposite, my friends. Practically every politician we have is an attorney. Okay? But they took that amendment out of our Constitution, and that was the doorway to America falling. And everything that we see going on today, that was the first step that has made all of this destruction happen. Because that opened the door to foreign entities coming in and lobbying and giving them all kinds of gifts, and in the process beholding their loyalties rather than we the American people beholding their loyalties, which is the way that it's supposed to be. Okay? So as I was saying, Satan is death and God is life. And when you believe in death, you further the cause of death, and when you believe in life, you further the cause of life. What we have seen for so many years here in America and the world is these servants of Satan just having their way. They've had their way in our country, and they are literally minions of Satan. And we are seeing played out in our country today. We are seeing it right in front of our face. I mean, when Melania Trump went up there and said that prayer, I mean, first off, we have a spiritual battle going on in our country and in the world, okay? The spiritual battle being played out on a political, economic, financial, cultural, and social battlefront. That's what we see. When Ms. Trump went up there and said that prayer, boy, the spiritual world, the darkness, the fallen angels in the spiritual world and Satan it erupted. It was just like, it was just scary. I mean, these people, did you notice, ever since that inauguration, I mean, these people have gone crazy. They are crazy. They are lunatic, just demonic forces. They are in touch with their father Satan. And what you will find from these people, when you really do the research on them, you will find out that most of them are Luciferians. They're involved in secret societies. And this is the real problem in America, my friends. What you see going on each and every day, every single lie that is spoken, I mean, day in and day out. You know, I take screenshots of Yahoo. That's my homepage. And every day, I mean, probably 20 to 30 to 40 times a day, you see just negative story about Donald Trump after negative story. That's all they do, day in and day out. Because, my friends, what we have in this country, our country, America, is a communist demonic coup d'etat. And it has been going on for quite some time, whether you know it or not. And it is called the establishment, okay? And if you do not know what the establishment is, it is critical that you gain an understanding of who the establishment is. It is the difference between being in the know and being lost. If you don't know what the establishment is, and I'm not saying it from a high horse, I'm saying it from the place of encouraging you, please, you need to know who they are, because if you don't know who they are, you can literally be destroyed. Because this is much more than some, on a physical level, yes, here in the carnal realm, they destroy our lives, they can destroy our lives, they've done it in the past numerous times, they kill, steal, and destroy. But when all is said and done, when it's your time to go, what they really want is your soul. They work for their father, Satan. And that is why they speak like their father, Satan. That is why everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. Every single word that comes out, that's all they do is lie, because as it says in God's word, Satan is the father of lies. Okay? Lying is his native tongue. And if you notice in the news, these people are just off the hook. Okay? And even when they do not have to lie, they lie, because that's all they know how to do. That is who they are. These people, this establishment, this coup d'etat, they control our media. They have a foothold. It's no better said than a stronghold. They have a stronghold on the media. They control it. They literally control it. And that's why, the Communist News Network, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, the Communist Broadcasting Service, and all the others, they all speak the same language. They're all anti-American, and that's why you see what's going on. God has given us a chance. There's a lot of people who voted for Trump, and there was like close to 65 million people who voted for Donald Trump. And those people, there's a portion of those people who think it's happy days again, when really it's not. Yes, God has helped us greatly. We were on a cliff, hanging on a cliff, and God pulled us off that cliff, because if Chairman Hillary Mao had gotten in, my friends, I probably wouldn't even have the chance to do this little radio show, because she would make sure that people like myself would not have that chance. Take a listen to the witch herself.
Far too many women are still denied critical access to reproductive health care and safe childbirth. All the laws we've passed don't count for much if they're not enforced. Rights have to exist in practice, not just on paper. Laws have to be backed up with resources and political will. And deep-seated cultural codes, religious beliefs, and structural biases have to be changed.
Did you get that? Did you hear what she just said? You need to change your religious beliefs, and you need to bow down to Hillary and her cadre of demons and follow their demonic religious beliefs. And that's where we were heading. That's where we stood, on a cliff, until God pulled us up with his own hand. This coup d'etat in America, basically what they're doing is, you see, they can no longer control the executive branch, and they know that. So now, just like the cowards, these people are truly cowards, by the way. I mean, they're the most cowardice, just weak individuals who have most of the money in the world. And so because they can't control the executive branch any longer, they go running to their role model, Communist China, and they go running behind Communist China. And what they're trying to do is to create the next war between China and America, because America is in the executive branch. They're not going along with them now, and so they're going to try to create a war between China and America. They're the biggest cowards the world has ever seen, but they have most of the money in the world. And by the way, when you hear stuff like this person or that person is the richest in the world, nobody ever talks about the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds or George Soros, how much money they have. These are the people who have most of the money in the world, not Bill Gates, okay, or the other ones that they talk about. You are being lied to, my friends, and because that's all they do is lie. And it's really hard for the average person to understand this. I mean, you really have to do some reading. You really have to do some research. And I'm not speaking from any place of I'm better than you. It's taken decades to figure out what's going on. And, you have to do a little research. You really do. And it's important that you do, because it can save your life. Because if you don't know what you're up against, if you don't know the enemy that you're facing in this country, in this world, I mean, you're going to get yourself in trouble. You're putting yourself and your family at stake when you don't know the truth. The truth will set you free. That's the name of our program, The Truth Will Set You Free. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment. The Lying Machine Movie Course and Study is perfect for those who want to get an excellent grasp of what is really going on in our country and the world in a very short span of time. You and your loved ones can get up to pace within a month or so through this course and then go as deep as you prefer thereafter. It can be used as a leisurely study or as curriculum for homeschoolers. Comparable courses in the educational community cost 3 times the amount of what we're offering it for. The centerpiece of this course is The Lying Machine movie, which was on television and quickly taken down from DirecTV after 3 newspapers released favorable articles about the movie. The point is that the establishment does not want people to know the truths in this movie, and that's why it was taken down. You can also become an affiliate for the Lying Machine Movie Course and Study and earn $100 commissions every time you sell it to someone. It comes with your own back office where you can track your sales, clicks, advertising campaigns. It has banners for advertising, and we offer you a $497 bonus marketing training program for free when you purchase the movie course and study. Imagine making a living standing up for your country. Go to Trump2017andbeyond.com. That's Trump2017andbeyond.com and scroll down. Get it now.
Slaying the New World Order serpent, the truth shall set you free.
Welcome back.
You know, Donald Trump's presidency did save America, but it really did mark the beginning of the civil war that's now going on in our country and the world. And that's in front of every American. Who are we the people fighting? Obviously, it's the people I just told you about. It's the globalist oligarchs formerly spoken of. Another name for them, as I said, is the establishment, or the New World Orderites, or the globalist elite, which is what they prefer to be called. Thus, don't call them that, because don't play into their hubris-filled selves. I mean, these people are the most hubris-filled, just egomaniacs. Okay, don't give them a false sense of who they are. Okay, these people are they are the scum of the earth. Okay, you know, they talk about white trash. You've heard that saying, white trailer trash. You know, actually, I like hillbillies. I used to come from a place called Taylor, Tucking. It was all hillbillies. I love those people. They're wonderful people. You know why? Because they have hearts. They have wonderful, beautiful hearts, and they'd help you in any situation. These people are contrary to the typical hillbilly, because these people are responsible for killing millions upon millions of people, probably in the billions by now, and they take joy in doing it. Okay, they are your biggest enemy. Okay, they want to kill you. They think that you are less evolved than them. Okay, they think that they are more highly evolved than you, that they are a higher supreme being. And that's why they do what they do with no conscience. In fact, if any of you know about what's called Bohemian Grove, that's a place in I think it's Santa Rio, California. It's in Northern California. They go there every year, and they do they sacrifice their care. That's actually what they do. It's an occult ritual that they do. You get all the big wigs from around the world, and they all come together, and they do this cremation of care, it's called. And it's very demonic. You should hear it. It's unbelievable. If you ever get a chance, get Alex Jones' Bohemian Grove video. He actually snuck in there. It's unbelievable. And he got videotape of it. And you see, it's just an occult ceremony, and you got all the big oligarchs, all the big names. The Bushes are there, and every big name in the political circle is there. They have movie stars that go there. A lot of the people that go there, they don't even really know what's going on. They don't know the depth of what's really going on spiritually. They're there because they want to advance in their careers and everything, and they were invited. All kinds of criminal, just the biggest criminal, like Henry Kissinger is the prime example. I mean, this guy, Henry Kissinger actually said that military men are dumb, stupid animals that we use to further our foreign policy. I mean, this is the kind of quality of people you're talking about that, who who promote this type of thing at Bohemian Grove. But anyways, what they do at this ceremony is they cremate their care. They have this big ceremony, and they bring in what's called like a supposed effigy, but many people think it's an actual sacrifice. They sacrifice a child. That's one of the big things with the occult. Occult means hidden, and so they bring in this child. It's a child sacrifice, or it's some human sacrifice, and they cremate him, and it's symbolic of them cremating their care so that they can go into the marketplace and do whatever they please and however they please. It's symbolic of them just being the animals that they are, so that they can just take over the world and treat everybody like the trash that they try to treat everybody like. My friends, we are, many of you listen to this program, whether you're Christian or non-Christian, whatever religion you are. I just say that because, it's said that there's close to 80% people in America are Christian. It's we, the Christians, who are supposed to be standing up. And as I just mentioned, this is a spiritual battle, all right? And there's no one else in our country and world who should know the significance of this battle than Christians. Now, I know, I'm sure there's many Christians who pray regarding our situation and regarding what's going on in the public sector and in our country and in the world. But I would imagine there's many who are not. And at the very least, as Christians, we should be praying for these things, because as stated, and I encourage you to look into it yourself, but this is a spiritual battle, okay? And we need your help. I mean, if you don't want to hit the streets and stand up in a vocal way, then we need you to be vocal with God. But we need to at least acknowledge it. God's word says in Hosea 4:6, "My people perish from a lack of knowledge." Those are true words. I mean, many have perished in the past. The Weimar Republic in Germany, before it became Nazi Germany, it was chiefly Christians, okay? And they perished big time. Big time. I don't think I need to tell you about how much they perished. That same type of thing, as I said earlier, we have a civil war going on right now. Donald Trump was a blessing. That was God giving us another chance. And we need to be vigilant. That means that we need to stand up. That means standing up in prayer, standing up vocally, standing up for our Constitution. In simple terms, to rectify what's going on in our country, all it would take, rather than getting into all of these philosophical discussions and, talking about all these political points, really all it comes down to is picking up the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights, and knowing it, and making sure that having a third eye as you go through your day to make sure that it is going on. So that means, for example, I'll never forget, I went to the post office this one time, and America, I think they create over 200,000 new laws every year, is last I've been told. And I went into this post office this one day. It's actually, we were editing our film, and I had this guy who was helping me out in a different state, and so I would send him money, and I just send him over $1,500 this one time, which was typical. And the guy at the post office said, we need to. How much? I told him, he was asking me, what were you sending? And I told him a check, and he said, oh, how much is it for? And I said, I told him the amount, and he said, well, anything over $1,500, we have to declare what it's for, which, that law was it's just a law that's stepping on Americans' rights. They don't have any place to be asking for our personal information and what we are using our money for. But yet, this guy at the post office, a really nice guy too. If he knew the Constitution and he knew the law of the land, and if he was standing up for that law of the land, he would not go along with that. See, that was an unconstitutional law that is being implemented through that government entity, the post office. And that's what I'm trying to say here, is that we as Americans, we have to stand up for that Constitution in our workplace, in our, relationships, in our social life. We have to stand up for it. And that's what it really comes down to. People willing to take some heat, possibly losing a job, if they stand up for the truth. Because, hey, our ancestors stood up for much more. They gave their lives. The American Revolution, 27,000 people. And that's why our ancestors, our founding fathers, they actually, during our heritage, they would carry a copy of the Constitution in their back pockets. That was just commonplace. And the reason it was commonplace was because many of them saw their friends die in the American Revolution. Many of them knew the price that was paid for their freedom. Many of them, his heritage was in England, and they knew the tyranny they lived under. And because they were so close to it, they remembered. And that Constitution, that was their strength. And that's what our country is based on. And we need to come back to that place. There could be no greater vision for America that every citizen of our country would have a Constitution in their back pocket. I mean, one of these little carry-on back pocket constitutions, really small. I have tons of them. To just go through it and understand it and live up to it. If we were just all pulling our weight, man, we'd get our country back so quickly, there'd be nothing that they could do about it. We are the power. We, the people, are the power. The Gettysburg Address, given to us by Abraham Lincoln, says that we are a government of, by, and for the people. And there could be no greater truth. In fact, that statement is a summation of what Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution says. Every state is guaranteed a Republican form of government. A Republican form of government is a government from the people up. Okay? It's quite the opposite of a democracy, where it's a government from an elite group down to the people. Jefferson and Plato warned against democracy, that it leads to tyranny. It has led to tyranny in the past, and it will lead to tyranny here in the present and in the future. So, as a republic, that's a great form of government to have, and it's the very best to have. Rome was originally a republic, and Rome went to hell in a handbag, as you know. And America has been on the path to hell in a handbag. Our heritage is so rich, so unbelievably rich. And we have tainted it, dilapidated it, and we have another chance here, my friends, and we need to do something. We need to stand up, every one of you. If you're listening to me right now, whether you create a blog, whether you do something online, get the word out about the truth, do your own studying, pray for our country, stand up for our leaders. We finally have a real American in the office of president, contrary to this demonic government media complex that is continually pounding him with lies. I don't know if you saw Tucker Carlson on Fox News. I don't watch Fox News, but I do catch little clips here and there. And there was this just extreme leftist woman who came on there. And as she was sitting there, as Tucker was introducing her, I was looking at her and I thought, my God, this woman looks nasty. I mean, you could just see the spirit of darkness in her. I could see the demon in her, man. She was so demonic looking. If you get a chance, check it out. It was a younger girl. And, it was just so unbelievable to see what took place. How the second she was given an opening to speak, she just jumped on it, and she did not stop talking. She didn't give Tucker Carlson hardly a chance to even step in there. But that's all they can do. She was just saying stuff that was just so outlandishly ridiculous. Just complete racist, he's Hitler. Never said. She just continually, accusing and pointing fingers at somebody, labeling this guy in the office of president, and but never backing up anything. Just no backup whatsoever. And that is the strategy of these people. Because the reason that she would never stop, she just continually talked and didn't give him a chance, is because she's afraid that if a question was asked of her, she couldn't answer it. In fact, we're gonna going to roll a clip here in just a moment to give you a little taste of that right now. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Let's listen in.
What are you going to do about it, Sinsara? That's my question. Other than like jump around in the street with a sign in your hand, okay, no, and write your little manifesto.
RefuseFascism.org has a manifesto, as you said. RefuseFascism.org.
Yeah.
We say we have 4 things people should do. They should manifest the no. They should protest every outrage and crime. But we have to have a single unifying objective. And the people who are waking up in this country, who are horrified by this man with his finger on the nuclear weapon, we need to recognize that he has to be driven from office through mass political resistance before it is too late. Fascism advances through stages. Shock, awe, violence,
is silly.
and then periods of normalization.
Fascism with political resistance, but whatever, you may not know
actually,
that.
It would have taken millions and millions to rise up to stop Hitler. It absolutely would have.
But what do you
and it's
think,
what people should have done.
Okay,
and it is
shameful. A real question.
It is shameful for you to dismiss this.
But hold on, I know it's shameful. But let me ask you this.
It's funny to you.
Question. So the
no, because I know you love to carry water for this criminal, this war criminal wannabe in chief.
Right.
He's itching.
But hold on.
You find that as petty matter?
There were 62...
Tucker, you find that petty? You find that a petty concern that he wants to...
I know that you're very petty, but I'm trying to ask you a real question.
Nuclear weapons are as serious as you can be.
I just want to ask you... Okay, let me ask you one last question, okay? 62 million people voted for Trump, and disproportionately they were people at the lower end of the income scale. They were actually. They were middle class and below, mostly. Opposed to Trump were, I don't know, the hedge fund managers and privileged people like you. Did you ever think to yourself, like, why is the middle class...
He lost the popular vote. He lost the popular vote, and no election, fair or fraudulent, no election, fair or fraudulent, can justify ripping up the rule of law, undermining the courts, threatening and shutting down the press.
You're saying that you should throw a duly elected president out of office.
No, I'm saying people should resist.
Law.
Yes, that's what he means when he says so-called judge. That's what he means when he fires an attorney general who disagrees with his laws.
What I want to do is get to how you think.
What you want to do is normalize fascism. Right. What you want to do is try to caricature and dismiss people who are telling the truth.
For me. Thanks, though.
I guarantee you that RefuseFascism.org is an entity funded by George Soros or someone of the same ilk who is trying to destroy our country. And I would be willing to bet that that girl is like an actress who couldn't make it in Hollywood, so she's going to take the next best bid to sell out her country so that she can make some money from the likes of George Soros. I'd be willing to bet on it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment. The Yeshua's Lessons in Life series is a 4-book series for children ages 5 to 11. For 5 to 7-year-olds, it's recommended that parents and teachers read the picture storybooks to their children. 7 or 8 to 11 years old, the kids can read them on their own. It's a series of holiday stories with Rudy Kazudi, a Valentine story, Sunny and Honey, an Easter story, Herbie Hansen, a summer story, and The Christmas Tree, a Christmas story. Award-winning artist Michael Glenn Monroe is one of our illustrators. The series is designed to foster spiritual growth and character development in children, affordably priced at $19.97 for the 4-book series, plus shipping and handling. You cannot go wrong. They are life changers. Get the Yeshua's Lessons in Life series today by going to Trump2017andbeyond.com and scrolling down. That's Trump2017andbeyond.com and scrolling down. Get it now.
Slaying the New World Order serpent, the truth shall set you free.
Welcome back. If you ever talk to these leftists, and they are not liberals, my friends, what we are dealing with today, the classic liberal is Thomas Jefferson, a true statesman, okay? There's a vast difference between Thomas Jefferson liberal and the so-called, I repeat, so-called liberals of today. These people are not liberals. They are communist leftists, okay? They are leftists. You should never call them liberals. And that's one of the things that has to change in our country is our words. You know, like when Obama was in the office of president, he was not our president. He was not a naturalized born citizen. If you really do the research, and I encourage you to do so, he was not a naturalized born citizen, which is what you have to be. In other words, both of his parents were not U.S. citizens. Their origin has to be in the United States. And that was not the case with him. And he was put into office on lies. And that's why his whole litany, his whole journey from beginning to end was just a journey of lies. Everything that came out of his mouth was a lie. Wasn't it amazing when you'd see the video, the videotape of Obama, you'd see flies flying around him, like they just loved being around him. It was so interesting to see. Or when he went to when he went to Georgetown and Notre Dame, and he made sure that the statues of Jesus were covered up and the cross was covered up. I mean, how much more in our face does it have to be? And I have, so-called Christian friends who literally, even though all that happened, they still went along with him. He made sure that he stopped the National Day of Prayer and he participated in the Muslim Day of Prayer. I mean, everything that guy did or said was a lie. He said he was a Christian. I believe that one of the major problems here in America, especially for the Christians, is that we the Christians do not really know who Jesus Christ is. In fact, I think that is probably the biggest problem in America and in the world. If people really had a truer vision of who Jesus Christ is, I by no means claim to know who Jesus Christ is fully, because he is infinite. And in being infinite, we cannot fully understand him. It's just like if we were to read the Bible every day of our life and we were to live 1,000,000 years, we still wouldn't fully understand it because it's infinite. It says the Word of God is God, okay? And he is the Word made flesh. He is the Word of God, okay? So we can't fully understand him. But to have if you read the Bible, it's pretty clear as you read it that he is not what the world makes him out to be. I mean, quite frankly, maybe you disagree with me, and I'd like to hear your comments. But, a lot of the churches today, you go in there, whether it's Catholic, whether it's Presbyterian, or so on down the line, evangelical, they like to make Jesus out to be what they want him to be. And they oftentimes do not want to look at, some of the scriptures that are everywhere in the Bible. Like, for example, when he was in the temple turning over the tables with the money changers. I mean, that's just the classic one that everybody knows about. But also when he was in the temple speaking the 7 woes against the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who were the religious establishment of the day. And Jesus, it was just so wonderful. It's just so awesome to see. It's so funny. I literally laugh when I read it. How it's just, you start keying in on his personality and how, every time Jesus is asked a question, he answers it with a question. It's so cool. I love that. And at one point, Jesus literally, as people were surrounding him, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees were coming against, miracles that he was doing, he just went off on them. And he did it amongst the public. It was like public humiliation, okay? Now, this is he went into it. In fact, we're going to roll a clip here in just a moment to give you a little taste of that right now. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Let's listen in.
You scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites all! For you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. You do not go in yourselves, nor do you let others enter. Blind guides! You strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. You bow before the letter of the law and violate the heart of the law. Justice, mercy, good faith. You are like whited sepulchres, all clean and bare without, but within, full of dead men's bones and all corruption. You see these stones, do you not? I tell you, there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down. Yours is a house of desolation, the home of the lizard and the spider. Serpents, brood of vipers, how can any of you escape damnation? You shall not see me here again, not until you learn to cry, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. For I and my Father are one and the same. He is a blasphemer.
So tell me, is that the sweet, meek, and mild Jesus the loving, sweet Jesus with the limp wrist, the doormat Jesus that the world likes to make him out to be. Just come to Jesus. He's so loving and merciful. And he is. Jesus is as loving and merciful as anybody could ever imagine. There's no one who has more love or mercy than Jesus. But he is also powerful. He is also strong. He was a carpenter who earned his meat by the sweat of his brow. A man who knew what real work was and is. A man who went through struggles beyond anything that any of us can imagine. Whose stripes healed us. Who was made unrecognizable by the stripes of whips. Do you know that? You read that scripture? Was made unrecognizable. That means, obviously, if you saw him, you wouldn't have even recognized him. He was beaten so badly. As a result, when you saw the Mel Gibson flick, I mean, it was at least that bad, if not worse. Okay? He was made into a piece of meat. Perfection that walked the earth, who did only good, but was striped. I mean, was just made into a piece of meat and then nailed to a cross and brought to his so-called end. And that's where the real miracle comes, huh? Because he was resurrected 3 days later. So, and that's historical, okay? That's not some fairy tale. Over the years, it's amazing. I've had people that, especially when I had no knowledge of anything, they would try to tell me, oh, don't you know the Bible is a fairy tale? Oh, yeah. Well, you should study history and see if it's a fairy tale. Okay, because when you do study history, you'll find out it's not a fairy tale. It happens to be the best-selling book in history every year from its inception. I mean, there must be something going on there. You know what I mean? Something must be going on. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that because our vision of Jesus is oftentimes what we want it to be, like many Christians, they can only handle a loving and merciful Jesus. Anything more than that, they can't really handle. It's too much for them to handle. And so they don't themselves possess the other qualities of strength and resilience and able to go through just unheard of struggles and standing up and fighting for the truth. Beyond Jesus, you can't really go beyond Jesus, but next to Jesus, laterally speaking, the disciples who were just, practically every big name disciple of note, they all died at the hands of political entities. It wasn't like they were out there, on a political rampage, They just were speaking the truth about God, and they were killed for doing it. And because they live in a different time. But, they stood up. They certainly stood up. In fact, in the Catholic realm, I think it's 37 popes have been martyred for standing up for the cause of Christ. And typically that was against political entities. So, I mean, we have a history, a rich heritage. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that we as Christians need to stand up. I mean, we have ancestors who were strong people, who died for what they believed in. They did not live for comfort. And there's no way that we can talk about Jesus and the disciples in any way, shape, or form and say that they lived for their comfort. Now, I'd like to present this. This is what I believe. It's personally what I believe God has spoken to me. And by the way, I've heard the mockers of Christians who would say, "Oh, he's heard from God. Oh, he's out of his bloody mind. He's heard. Yeah, what does he do? Talks to God." It's just like these people are they're out of their bloody minds. It's like, all you got to do is like open up the book, the Old Testament, okay, and read of person after person, from Abraham to Jesus, okay, people who literally talked to God. They communicated with God. Moses, God showed Moses his backside. That's how great God is, by the way. I was talking about how infinite he was previously. I mean, God wanted to show himself to Moses, but he could only show him his backside. So Moses had to go, if you remember the story, he had to go, kneel down behind a rock as God passed by, but God would only show him his backside, because if he showed him his front side, it's said that God is so great that if you were to see him, it would be so terrific, it would be terrifying. I mean, you couldn't take it or handle it. You would die just from seeing him. So he could only show him his backside. Now, you want to talk about power and strength? And meanwhile, we have this world who makes Jesus out literally, and I'm not making it up, okay? They make Jesus out to be almost like a limp-wristed, just doormat little Jesus. I hear it from all the time. The only thing that people, I'm not going to go too far here, but oftentimes pastors or priests, the only thing it seems they want to talk about is God's love and his mercy. And quite frankly, that should be the main theme, because that is the main theme of God's word. That is the spirit of his word, which is him. But you also have to talk about the other things. In that great love is so infinite that, in love, there's many sides to love, obviously. I mean, I know you know this. I mean, there isn't just the touchy-feely, sweet, give me a kiss type of love. I mean, love is the greatest form of love we know from Jesus himself, is sacrificial love, right? I mean, he died on a cross. He was willing to sacrifice his life for you and me. So, and there was nothing pretty about it. There was nothing touchy-feely about it, but yet that's all they want to talk about. Just being merciful and loving. But it's never the kind of love. They might point out once in a while that the love is, dying on a cross, but typically it's all about being nice and sweet and kind, and don't do anything outlandish, like don't stand up for anything. During these times right before our election, when Chairman Mao Hillary, whatever you want to call her, was possibly going to be in office, it was really difficult to find a church that would say anything about what was going on. It was just like, yeah, we're just going to go along with this tyranny that's going on in our country. We're just going to go right along with it. And I'm kind of glad it happened, because I got to see, when all is said and done, what people are going to do and what they're going to do. I mean, literally, I felt as if, they would be ready to be carted off by the government if the government said it. If they put a gun to their head, they're willing to put that gun to their head and be killed, and just be weak and don't do anything about it. Don't stand up for this rich heritage, for the people who died for us, and Jesus who died for us. I mean, our country is based on that very fact. One nation under God. I mean, it's like, that's why we're so unique. There's no other country in the world that claims to have God as their king, like America. That's what went on in America. That's why they call it one nation under God. I mean, in our national anthem, it says, God we trust. In our Constitution, it talks about God. In fact, our Constitution is based on the law of nations. And the law of nations is based on Mosaic and canon law. Okay? That means that there's a holy thread running through our Constitution. It's a fact. Do the research yourself. It's undeniable. All right? Listen to the quotes, or research the quotes from our founding fathers. It's unbelievable, the number of Christian quotes that there are. It's just, it'll blow you away. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment. Get our conversational starter, Restoring America Sweatshirts, the Article 4, Section 4 sweatshirt, the fake news lamestream media sweatshirt, the All I Want for Christmas is to Lock Her Up sweatshirt, and various others. Our sweatshirts start major conversations that have the potential to change people's lives and restore our country. Go to Trump2017andbeyond.com. That's Trump2017andbeyond.com. Get it now and spread the word and change the world.
Slaying the New World Order serpent. The truth shall set you free.
Welcome back. One of the beautiful things, the connection here that I'm trying to make, is that Samuel 7 or Samuel 8, where God is talking to his people, Israel, his beloved Israel, and it's one of literally the saddest books or segments of the Bible for me, because you truly see this God who wants to be Israel's king. He wants to be not only their God, but he wants to be their king. And he wants to, put his flock underneath his wing, and he just wants to take care of them. But the Israelites don't want him to be that. It's like God is reaching out to them, and he really wants to be not just their God, but he wants to be their king. But they say, no, we want an earthly king like our Philistine neighbors. And so God says, I'll give you the king. Okay, but here's what's going to happen when you have that king. All of the downfalls, your sons and daughters are going to be made into bakers, and they're going to have to work by the sweat of their brow. He goes on and on about it. Okay, but and so he gives them what they want. But the point that I'm trying to make, where I'm going here with this, is that America literally is like the fulfillment in its inception, in the inception of America. America is like the fulfillment of what God wanted with his beloved Israel. America is the only country that called themselves one nation under God, where they put God as their king. God is the sovereign leader in America. We get our rights from God, and they are unalienable rights. That means that they're unalienable. That means you can't place a lien on our rights. We get them from God. We have the right to travel, the right to do all kinds of, the right to work. We don't need a license to work, okay? This is all just made up, unconstitutional baloney that they keep, throwing at us, and we keep saying, oh, okay, yeah, we got to get a license to work. No, we don't need a license to work if we're going to be constitutional. And that's something that we can all stand up for, okay? So America literally, at its inception, was this nation, was this group of people, just like in Samuel 7 or Samuel 8, where God wanted to be their king. And we are literally the manifestation of that. And that's why we were so blessed. But then, because of whatever reasons, human nature and evil getting the best of us, we've had government servants who like to call themselves leaders come into our government and just take over. And as the government became dilapidated, the people became dilapidated. And we've had this coup d'etat, this communist demonic force that has entered our country. It is, by all means, a coup d'etat. It's the establishment that's seeking a new world order, that's seeking a one world government. They want to control the world. They want a two-class system where it's tyrant and serf. They want to be kings, okay? They want to be the king of the world. And it's going to happen at some point in time, because Revelation tells us. And I don't want to go down there yet, because I wanted to finish off on what I was talking about. But they're on their way toward that. We are in Revelation times. We know that because of the RFID chip, which is already being put in people's hands, and they scan it over the scanner at the store in the marketplace. There's companies in Sweden that are using the RFID chip, and it's literally like money in your hand. You don't need money. You can just scan it over the scanner at the store and pay for your goods or pay for your services. And that's what's going on, my friends. So that tells us, according to Revelation 13, where it says, the mark of the beast, 666, you'll receive a mark in your hand or in your forehead. And so that's a pretty good indication that we're in those times. And there's various other things that have happened relative to Revelation as well. But see, the point that I was trying to make earlier was that we as Christians, we have to stand up. If we don't stand up, we're not adhering to our call as Christians. Okay? There is unfortunately a great idol in our country. And it's the greatest idol, I think. It's been at its apex for years, and that is the God of comfort. There are so many people who will put comfort for themselves and their families ahead of everything, including God. And I'm not saying it in a way to tear you down, but I think if you look around and you ask God about it, ask God yourself. Just ask Him, because I've asked Him myself. Ask Him if there is an idol in our country called the God of comfort, and see what He says. I encourage you to do that. I asked Him, And I know very clearly that he has said to me, he has spoke to my heart in a way to make it very clear that, yes, that is the biggest idol in our country. We will sell our country down the line so that we can have comfort. And that's the exact game that Satan plays with us in this country. They just keep trying to make us feel comfortable. They don't want to tell us what's going on. They keep denying what's really going on so that we feel comfortable. And it's just like the frog in the warm water. They keep turning the temperature up. Pretty soon that frog, he's dead because he doesn't realize that, because the temperature was turned up so slowly. It's called gradualism. Eventually he was killed. He was made so comfortable, he was eventually killed because the temperature got so high and it killed him. And that's exactly and it's a depiction of hell itself. You know, as the fire gets closer and closer, Satan continues to work. The heat is turned up, and he turns it up very gradually so that we don't. It's very comfortable at first. It feels really nice at first. You know, you get in there and you do some of the crazy things that he's putting out in the world through the media, that's controlled by these freaks that I've been telling you about, and you start doing, that's fun. Then you want to do the next thing, and you get deeper and deeper and deeper, and pretty soon you're inflamed in fire. And our country is overtaken by hell, literally. So there's a spiritual battle, my friends, and we as Christians have to stand up, okay? We have a Judeo-Christian nation. That is what it was formed as. I won't get into freedom of religion right now. It's a whole nother topic. But I will say, listen to our president. I mean, I just want to make a connection right now. We're going to go to a clip and listen to our president talk. And as he's talking, I want you to think about the people that I've told you about, this establishment, and kind of make the connection. Is he talking about the people that I've been sharing with you here over the last however many minutes during this broadcast? Is he talking about those people? Let's play that clip right now.
Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, and Abraham Lincoln, and many of our greatest presidents fought with the media and called them out, oftentimes on their lies. When the media lies to people, I will never, ever let them get away with it. I will do whatever I can that they don't get away with it. They have their own agenda, and their agenda is not your agenda. In fact, Thomas Jefferson said, "Nothing can be believed which is seen in a newspaper. Truth itself," he said, "becomes suspicious by being put into that polluted vehicle." That was June 14th, my birthday, 1807. But despite all their lies, misrepresentations, and false stories, they could not defeat us in the primaries, and they could not defeat us in the general election, and we will continue to expose them for what they are, and most importantly, we will continue to win, win, win. We are not going to let the fake news tell us what to do, how to live, or what to believe. We are free and independent people, and we will make our own choices.
All right. Well, welcome back. So, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think... Who is he talking about? All right. Who is he talking about? Now, why do I take the time to be so clear as to who these people that I've been talking about, and whom I would suggest to you is the same people that Donald Trump was talking about in that speech? They want to be the authors of our lives, you guys. They want to tell us what they want to paint for us, the picture of reality each and every day through the media that they control. They want to shove it down our throat and tell us that this is reality, okay? And they've been doing it for years. And enough is enough. We have got to stand up to this lie. Turn off your televisions, okay? They want to just inundate you with their lies. They want to eventually, as you saw during the last years of the Obama administration, I mean, they were literally getting very very in your face getting to this place of telling us what their moral code is, and they're still doing it. You're trying to tell us what their moral code is, and that should be our moral code. And their moral code is Satan's moral code. It's like Satan's Bible, and that's what they have been seeking to do, and that's what they're going to continue to do if we allow them. Okay, right now, what is going on? Okay, these demons, they have. These demon freaks from the pit of hell called the establishment that have a coup d'etat in America. I think I may have said it earlier in the broadcast, but basically they were working behind our executive branch and our judicial branch and in our legislative branch of government. But now that we have a new president, they can no longer work behind our executive branch, so they're trying to take over America through the judicial branch, as you can see. They're using whatever power they have in the judicial branch to try to dictate to our president what he can do and can't do. Now, a perfect example is deportation of illegal aliens, and that court, I think it was Seattle, basically the judge said you're not going to be able to do that. I forget which, maybe I got the state wrong, but that's not what's important. What's important here is that we have the judicial branch of government trying to dictate to our president and tell him what to do. I mean, has there ever been a time where you can see so clearly? I mean, the line has been drawn. Here we have the President of the United States, and it's so clear that there is another entity in our country that is trying to tell our president and his administration what they're going to do. Who is that entity? I ask you, I query you, who is that entity? I mean, can you not see it? It's as clear as day. They are another entity in America who is trying to tell the leaders, the people that we have elected to be our government servant leaders, they are telling them what to do. And that's a perfect example of how they've gotten behind the judicial branch, and they're trying to use whatever power they have there to dictate to the executive branch. And I believe and I hope that Trump is not going to go along with it. And he should not go along with it. He should just, his executive orders have basically been to stop all of the unlawful, unconstitutional laws that the demon, the Muslim terrorist, the former Muslim terrorist in the office of president brought forth. That's what he's basically done. And I hope he continues to executive order us back to balance, back to a constitutional country once more. That's number one that needs to be done. And number two, just as important as that is that he would move on George Soros, because George Soros is the cause of much of the social unrest going on in our country. He's literally paying for this social unrest millions upon millions of dollars. I think during that women's rally right after the election, I was told that the people who the women who were in that rally, many of them were paid, I think it was $2,500 to be protesters, and then they were paid $50 an hour in addition to the $2,500 that they were paid to do the rallying. I mean, this is just completely absurd. It's completely unconstitutional. He's creating social unrest, and this guy needs to be brought down immediately. I think many of you will agree. I mean, the guy, he's the one who funds Black Lives Matter, and he needs to be taken care of today, okay? That has to happen. This establishment has so many veins that run off. Like, if the establishment is like a cancer in our country, and if you just think of it as this cancer it has spread throughout our government, our body politic, okay? It has spread in such a way that it is in every nook and cranny of every agency, and there's just so many agencies around our government. And that's why Trump has such a swamp to clean, because they have infiltrated everything, and there's just so much cleaning that needs to be done. It's like he would need a whole term to basically clean the swamp, and then hopefully in the second term, he can really, I mean, he's already done more in his first 3 weeks than Obama did in 8 years, and than most presidents have done during their entire term. But all the while, he's trying to be made into be Hitler while he's bringing back our country. We need to clean this cancer out, you guys. And that's why we are in a civil war. That's the civil war, okay? We have to clean our country if we want to have something for our children and we want to have something for the people who come after us. It is critical. And that's going to happen by everybody standing up, by making it a focal point in their lives to take our country back. So that is what I want to leave you with here today. And until our next broadcast, we're going to talk about many things, but I think that's enough for today. And so the truth will set you free. And I hope you got some truth today, and I hope it sets you free. Take care and God bless.